What is up, YouTube? Trollkin here, and welcome back to Draw Phase. And in today's video, we are going over Rek'Sai for the Queen indeed. Guys, this deck is so much fun to play. Like, by all means, when Spirit Forge comes out, you guys have to at least try it because it just has a new system into it with like looking at the top two cards of your deck and being able to play them. It's super fast, super aggressive. Like it gets there more so than any other aggro decks. So tons of fun, a really cool list. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, I really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. We do deck lists, we do live streams on Tabletop Simulator, and we do product reveals as well. So if you're looking for a channel, all things Earthbound, this is the one for you. So I'm not gonna lie, guys, initially when I was looking at Rek'Sai, I was like, all right, how do I even build this? Like, is this even good? And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Like, okay, like aggro decks tend to fall off for what I mentioned earlier. However, like the fact that you can just keep on playing things from the top of your deck, if you're conquering, being super aggressive, just overwhelms your opponent to the point where they can't really come back from it. So let's look at the legend ability, Rek'Sai Void Burrower. When you conquer, you may exhaust me to reveal the top two cards of your main deck. You may play one, then recycle the rest. So that's incredible, right? Like, we go fast, we have a lot of cheap units, we can conquer really early, and you can just play things from the top of your deck. There are tons of units in here that are very cheap, and one of the best things you could do is you can Void Rush, which is the signature spell, into 2 Noxus Hopefuls, where you can play 2 Noxus Hopefuls only for 2 energy. Insane tempo. Easily the fastest deck in the game right now. It is a lot of fun. The rune splits are 5 Order and 7 Fury runes. Going into the battlefields, we want to play the Arena's Greatest. We just don't want to give our opponent the opportunity to kind of come back, especially if it's a control deck. So getting that extra point as soon as the game starts, really good. Also, with the Candlelit Sanctum, I've never seen a battlefield have so much synergy with a deck other than Rek'Sai and the Candlelit Sanctum. So Candlelit Sanctum is like, when you conquer here, look at the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may recycle one or both of them, then put those you don't back in any order. So you get to choose which trigger you want first when you're conquering, right? So obviously Candlelit Sanctum, you would want to trigger it first so you can look at what you're about to play. And if it's something, you know, if the top 2 cards are like, okay, great, this works well, I need to play this, then by all means play it. If it's garbage, right, and something you don't need at that certain time, then you could just recycle them, and then you can look for something more with the conquer effect of your legend ability. Super synergistic, extremely powerful, and the fact that you could just like dig in deep, like so deep into your deck is just absolutely insane. Reaver's Row, so we are an aggressive deck, right? There are things that have assault, right? So we want to get in, and then if our opponent has like just really big dudes, we can back out on it and then kind of like build up an army and move into the base, move into the battlefield afterwards. Just really, I think Reaver's Row for any type of aggressive deck that like wants to get points as fast as possible, it's just really good because you don't want to lose that tempo on losing any of your units. So Reaver's Row is a great choice for this deck. Moving on into the main deck, we have, so hear me out on this, guys. I was like trying to figure out, do I want the yellow Rek'Sai as my chosen champion, as it's something I could play when I need to, or do I want to have the red Rek'Sai, which is very cheap, and you can accelerate to get into a battlefield as soon as possible. So I've chosen the red Rek'Sai as getting that conquer effect from the legend ability as soon as possible, and you can start playing things is extremely valuable, right? So, but by all means, if you want to switch them, you know, I am completely fine with that. As you know, like the yellow Rek'Sai is a little slower, and maybe it's something you want to play mid to late game for a little bit to like bring back your tempo. But essentially, we'll go over the yellow Rek'Sai first. It is the exact same ability as the legend ability, right? Except for the yellow Rek'Sai is when it attacks, and this is when it conquers. So there's really isn't much difference in terms of what they do, right? It's just one attacks and one conquers. Moving to the red Rek'Sai, this card's so fast. So, you know, you can play it as early as your first turn if you're going second, or you can even accelerate it your second turn, like your second turn if you were to go first. So 3 energy, 3 might with an accelerate cost, has assault 1, which is very useful in the early game, and friendly units played from anywhere other than a player's hand have accelerate. So what that means is that basically anything triggered from your legend ability and or the yellow Rek'Sai and or the signature spell, you can accelerate it. Now, the accelerate cost, as per the rules, would be 1 energy, right, and 1 power according to its color. So, we are running red and yellow, so it would be a red energy or a yellow energy, or sorry, red power or a yellow power for that accelerate cost. Yeah. Honestly, if you can move in with this, right, and then honestly, if you conquer and you have some runes left over and you play something cheap from the top of your deck, you can accelerate that, move into the other battlefield. It is really easy to get 3 points as early as maybe turn 2 or 3, honestly. Like, it's just insane how fast this deck goes. Also, we're running a new spell card, a 3 of Blood Rush. Guys, this is so much better than Cleave because you can choose, right? It is an action speed card, right? And you could repeat it though, right? And it is just so cheap. Like for one energy, you can give a unit assault 2. Now, if you put this on the Rek'Sai and you repeat it, right? Rek'Sai gets assault 5, which is absolutely insane. So that fear of getting into the mid to late game where they start dropping like bigger units, right, isn't really a problem as long as you have this card. This card is absolutely busted, right? And you can split it as well, right? So, you can split it to your cheaper units so they all both get assault 2. And guys, this card just does so much work. It is so useful. You can throw so many of the, you can put 8 up to assault 8 if you repeat 2 of them onto 1 unit. So like the fear of bigger units coming around, like a Mundo or, a Watcher or something, isn't really that impactful, as you can always come back with it. Really good card, really good spell. Going to be seeing a lot of play when Spirit Forge comes out. Next, we have kind of like the kit, right? So Rek'Sai, of course, has specific cards meant to be in the deck, so we just play them, right? The first of which being Void Hatchling, right? So 2 energy and 2 might. If you would reveal cards from a deck, look at the top card first. So, if you're using the legend ability, right, you can even do this first. And also, if you're doing the Conquer effect of Candlelit Sanctum, you can use this unit's ability first. This is probably the 2-drop you want to play on your first turn, as it really, really helps you kind of pick and choose what you want to play from the top of your deck. And then you may recycle it, and then but you do have to reveal those cards, right? So, yeah, really good, just synergistic with it, and makes a lot of sense in the deck, as this is generally part of the kit for Rek'Sai. Next, we're going over probably my favorite signature spell from this set, Void Rush. My God, I didn't know this card was going to be so good. But when I was like play testing with it, I was like, dude, this is just absolutely insane. The things you can do with this card. It's basically a stack deck for units, but you can just play the units and they get discounted. All right, so for 2 energy and 1 power, reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck, and you may play one of them, reducing its cost by 2, and then draw any you did not play this turn. So basically 2 energy, 1 power. If it's something you can't play, you draw 2 cards. That's fair, right? But the fact that things get discounted is absolutely insane. So if you do this, right? All right, let's just say a situation, right? Which is the best, like the goal, right? You have 4 energy. You play a Void Rush, right? You tap 2 and you recycle 1. And if the top 2 cards happen to be Noxus Hopefuls, and the Legion effect triggers immediately, right? So 1 Noxus Hopeful is free, and the other 2 energy that you have access to, you tap and you can play 2 Noxus Hopefuls. You can develop 8 might by playing a 2 energy spell card with a 1 power cost. That is absolutely insane. There's just so much tempo, and when you see things like that and you see combos and you see like my opponents, when I was playtesting this, they're just like, dude, are you done doing things because you've played so many units this turn? Yeah, it just gets over. This signature spell is really good. It has so much, like, they really had a well thought out process in building Rek'Sai, and I'm so happy they did, because it is just, like I said, a complete different play style, new systems, new mechanics, and it's just really cool and a lot of fun. Now, will this deck be like the best, in like top tier meta? I don't know. Irelia is looking really good, but honestly, if people just refine Rek'Sai more and more, it can easily be that first aggro deck to make like top tier decks. Furthermore, we have the Porros. So like for me, when I'm deck building, right, and I really don't know where to start from. I just put in the colors of the legend, the Porros, because you can't go wrong with it. And this makes a lot of sense, as you know, you want cheap units that you can use off your legend ability, and the Porros are just really good. You know, deflect cost is useful. You can go wide with a lot of cheap units, and deflect, in my opinion, is just the best keyword in the game. So we have 3 of the Pouty Porros, and moving further, we also have 3 of the Daring Porros. That assault is really beneficial, really good, and also in combination with Blood Rush, you know, you can have a 5 might attacking Daring Porro. Or a 7 might if you decide to repeat it onto it, which, you know, can topple like even bigger things, which is just absolutely insane for a cheap unit, right? Going to show that this card is extremely important when it comes to conquering those battlefields. We do run Hidden Blade, as sometimes we're in situations where we don't have those cards, right? We don't have those assault cards, or maybe we don't have enough units. So just hard removal is really good, especially for yellow, right? That's like something yellow really shines in. It's just hard removal. And there's going to be instances with like that new Ornn deck that just stacks gears and stacks equipments onto it, and it becomes a deflect forwards Fulsinger. Yes, you're going to have to channel or recycle a lot of runes. However, the way this deck works, it's a bunch of tiny dudes, whereas Ornn is like a really big, like sometimes even 25 might deflect 4 unit with some certain abilities from its gear. Just removing it is just good, right? Use your colors to your advantage. Yellow has one of the best hardcore, or just like not hardcore, but yellow has the best single target removal in the game. So use it to your advantage. Also, if there's an instance where you just can't back out from a battlefield, hiding this is also really good. Makes your opponent think twice about trying to take the battlefield back. Moving forward, this is the only deck where I found this card to be good. It is a new card, Zinzao Vigilant. It does have tank, so it can sit at a battlefield defending for 5 might, and it enters ready if you have 2 or more other units in your base, which is always, right? We always have so many units because of the legend ability that triggers, and generally you just want to move in, move out, like score some points, and this card does some work, because if you play it with like a Void Rush, it's only 1 in a power and it enters ready. If you have, you know, 2 more units in your base, it's just good, right? And the fact that it can sit at a battlefield because it has tank, and you can move in your tiny dudes in there to just get a little foothold, maybe score that last point by holding instead of conquering. Yeah, really good. This card makes sense in the deck. Definitely try it out. Believe me, guys. Also, we are running another new card, Rengar Pouncing, at reaction speed. It is a 3 energy, 1 power cost unit with 3 might. However, it does have Assault 2, and it can be played to a battlefield you're attacking. So that is what we do, right, guys? We move into battlefields very fast. We move back sometimes if we have Reavers, if we're on Reavers row, right? And moving back into the battlefield. Playing Rengar from hand is just like playing Shen as you're defending. You can't be countered, right? It is just an annoying card, as adding 5 might to your attack phase, right? Or when you're attacking the battlefield for only 3 energy and 1 power is just super good, right? Like I said, can't be countered. It is not a spell. It is a unit. So just makes a lot of sense. And also, like, the card draw in this deck is absolutely insane. Like, there are instances where I just have so many cards in hand due to Void Rush, because sometimes I draw the bigger things and I can't really play at that time. But however, it's just really good, dude. It's just really, really synergistic. So you don't have to worry about card draw in this deck. And if you do, you can always pop a Hidden Blade onto one of your units and draw 2 cards, right? Next, we have the Void Drone, one of the other really good cards for Rek'Sai, as it is part of the kit. 3 energy, 3 might. I cost 2 less to play me from anywhere other than your hand. So obviously, you know, we're looking for Void Rush triggers, and or our yellow Rek'Sai trigger, and or our legend ability, right? So, you know, the fact that, you know, you're looking at the top 2 cards of the deck, right? If it is Void Rush, it is free, right? And if it's just from the legend ability, you play it for 1. You develop a 3 might unit for 1 energy, which is absolutely insane. So it feels really good because you're going wide with like not tokens and you're going wide with units instead, and generally incredibly fast. Like I think this will topple like Darius Hook. I just find it better in my personal opinion. A lot of people are saying also like adding a Grand Stratagem into this deck is very good as well. That's something I might do instead of running the Under Titan, but we'll get to that in a second. Obviously, 3 Noxus Hopefuls, the Legion ability because we're playing so many cheap things, and the fact that, like I said before, with Void Rush, they just combo out so well. You can play both of them for potentially 2 energy. It's just really good, right? 8 might, 2 energy, do it every single time. We are running Vayne. As for 4 energy, 1 power, 2 might, it does have Assault 3. And the reason I put this into the deck is because when I conquer, it says if an opponent controls the battlefield, I enter ready, which is really good. So we don't want our opponent to get any points by holding too much, right? And we just want to try and be as aggressive as possible when it comes to taking back that battlefield. And this in combination with Blood Rush is ridiculous because you can kind of pick and choose how much might you want to distribute onto Vayne, right? So if you want Assault 5, you can. If you want Assault 7, you can. And if you have more Blood Rushes, you can do whatever you want. So honestly, it is just a really good if they're trying to get a foothold onto a battlefield and you just move in with Vayne, you play some Blood Rushes, and you can take it back. And also the fact that when it conquers, if you want to, put it back into your hand, right? And just punish your opponent by trying to take back a battlefield, you can. This card just makes so much sense in the deck. It is something you generally don't want to play off Void Rush, right? I'm sorry, off the ability of Rek'Sai. However, if you do Void Rush it, by all means, you can. But I generally like to have in my hand as an option to kind of take back the battlefield. Also, if you are into the mid-late game, playing something like Vayne that enters ready in combination with Rengar, in combination with some Blood Rushes, guys, you're taking back that battlefield no problem whatsoever. Yes, of course, there are things like stunning and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, for the most part, like, it is just super aggressive. And it's going to be to the point where your opponent is just trying to keep holding on to that battlefield or trying to conquer, right? That they're going to be not wasting, but utilizing too many resources too fast that they can't keep up with you. Next, we're moving into a card which I was contemplating about replacing with Grand Stratagem. However, I just really liked it as another type of win condition, as it has like kind of like a mini Grand Stratagem onto it, right? Because for 6 energy, 1 power, and 5 might, when you play me, give your other units +2 this turn, which is really good since we have like a lot of units on our base, right? Because when we want to be moving in and moving out, right? That is the game plan. But the cool thing is that when it's revealed from the top of your deck with things like Void Rush, with things like the Yellow Rek'Sai or your Legend ability, you get to add 2 energy into your mana pool, which is really good. So, you know, like I like that the fact that it adds 2, right? And it kind of it buffs your units by +2. But that's entirely up to you. I found it very useful. I found it a little cheaper than Grand Stratagem, although Grand Stratagem gives you 3 more might, but those rune commitments, I'm sorry, that energy or the power cost commitment to it is a little high in my opinion when we want to be consistently be playing like tiny things. And I just think this fits incredibly well into the deck. Now, by all means, if you find it to be, you know, not that great, put in some Grand Stratagems. They're also like game-winning cards, right? But this just has a lot of synergy to it because you can add 2 energy if it's revealed from one of those abilities, like I said before. Really cool card, fits in the deck very, very well. And last but not least, we're adding something that from Origins that a lot of people really didn't consider. However, it just makes sense. Guys, we're putting Karma in, and I'll tell you why. 6 energy, 1 might, 6 might, right? So it's one of our stronger units. It does have vision, so it works well with like what Rek'Sai does, right? But more importantly, right, when you recycle 1 or more cards to your main deck, you can buff a friendly unit, and that is extremely useful as we are consistently recycling things, especially units, right? Like this card didn't see any play pretty much, like in Origins, right? But this card makes so much sense in the deck as, you know, triggers with Candlelit Sanctum, the Legend, Yellow Rek'Sai. Void Rush doesn't actually trigger it because we are drawing those cards. because it doesn't say you may draw cards, you have to draw them. But still, the fact that we're recycling so many units often, and we can just buff our units just to get like our units a little edge over opponent, makes complete sense, right? Vision is good, right? And just like, you know, adding a little bit of might onto a Porro, onto or something could be a deciding factor whether or not you win the game. So really useful card. Also with the 6 might, it just makes a lot of sense. So yeah, definitely try it out, guys. It works well in the deck. Just you got to trust me on this one. Moving into the sideboard, we have Rek'Sai. So basically, we add in the removal just for pesky control decks like Ari, right, when they're holding onto position. That's really good. Obviously, in this meta, I'm just going to tell you guys, like, you have to have either sideboard gear removal or, honestly, testing Spirit Forge out. Like, you may want to even like main run some just gear removal, because then you don't have to sideboard in for game 2 if you've lost the first one. It may be to that point where we actually are just maining like in our main deck some gear removal, but I've decided just to put it in our sideboard for now. It's not really that crazy of a thing just to sideboard it, but really good, honestly. Of the gear removal, salvage 2 energy, 1 power at action speed, kill a gear, and you can draw a card. Really good. You can pick and choose whatever you want to go away, and you know, the card draw is always welcome. Also, Falling Star is just one of those cards that is too good not to put into the deck. It didn't make the cut. However, in the sideboard, it is incredibly useful, as you know, you have those pesky, you know, Ari control decks or those token decks, or even in the mirror matchup, it's like extremely powerful, as like getting rid of Rek'Sai in the mirror matchup with or 2 Rek'Sais or anything really, or a Void Drone and or a sitting Rengar onto a battlefield is better than dealing with it. So, you know, in those certain matchups, so we need a little bit of like target removal with spells. By all means, put it in. You know, Falling Star is like one of the best removals in the game, and it is in our colors, so you might as well have access to it. So, yeah, guys, that is it. Guys, believe me when I say, like, definitely at least play it out, test it out on TCG Arena or Tabletop Simulator, because this deck is fun, dude. I had a blast. I was like, dude, I don't know if this deck is going to be actually any good, but honestly, I had so much fun playing it. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.